Thank you so much, my good friend Rabbi Angela. And actually, you told just half of the story because I wrote you two emails. The first one was praising you for a certain sermon you gave. I believe it was in Yom Kippur here in the shul. And the second was criticizing for something. I will never forget your educational answer to my second email. I was sure you will be angry at me that I criticized you. And your answer was, and I'm quoting from my memory, once you praised me, once you criticized me, now we have a full relationship. And that is for me so enlightening. I quote it so frequently. Thank you so much for that class, for that lesson. Since I assumed the mission, it's not a job for sure, it's not a position, it's the mission of chairman of Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Memorial Center. I am asked very frequently, is our mission relevant to the present or only to the past? Are we an history institution or something that has relevance also today? And I will share with you my thoughts on that. And I express that especially to world leaders that come to Yad Vashem as part of their official visits to Israel. One of the last was the sixth visit to Yad Vashem by Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany. A brief personal story. When I arrived to this country to serve as Israel's Consul General, I believed that anti-Semitism will not be a prominent part of my agenda. I thought that anti-Semitism in this country is not a real threat, and I will be even more sincere with you and tell you that I thought that it's used by Jewish organizations to raise funds, exaggerating the scope of the issue. And it started very slowly indeed. It started with the desecration of a cemetery in a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which I went to see. And then I flew one day to Rochester, New York, to visit with the mayor there a desecrated Jewish cemetery and a swastika in Sutton Place Synagogue in Manhattan. And then came what became for me the watershed moment, Charlottesville, Virginia. I couldn't believe that in a large American city, the most repugnant flag that was ever designed by a human being, the Nazi flag with the swastika, will be proudly waved in the cities of a town in what in many democratic countries, is more democratic countries, would not be only an abhorrent, vile moral occasion, but also a criminally punished event. But that, unfortunately, was only the prelude. Then came the most impactful event I had during my years here in New York, in America, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When I arrived to Pittsburgh that Shabbat night, a few hours after the massacre in Etz HaChaim in Tree of Life Synagogue, the bodies were still lying on the ground of the floor of the shul, and in that rainy, dark night, FBI agents and Chevra Kadisha Jews were waiting to enter the place. And then came Poway and Jersey City, New Jersey, and Muncie, New York, 15 Jews murdered for being Jews in this country in less than 2 years. Now the question I ask myself and I ask the visitors to Yad Vashem is, are we in Germany of the 30s? And my answer is no. Thank God, Baruch Hashem, we are far from being in Europe of the 30s. But the Shoah, the Holocaust, which we in Yad Vashem are those in charge of its memory, not only for Israel, but for the Jewish people and the world, teaches us a lesson that otherwise, if we are not conscious of what happened then in Europe, we might miss. And that lesson is that anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia, bigotry should be confronted immediately, should be confronted forcibly the moment the first signs of it appear. Our brethren, the Jews of Germany and Austria and other places in Europe in the 30s, did not have that experience. They probably were naive as I was when I came to this country and thought that it can't grow to more than rhetoric. It can't grow to more than a few broken glasses. It can't grow to more than a few dozen assassinated Jews as if it were something lightly. But we know, thanks to the experience that the Shoah gives us, we know that racism, anti-Semitism, bigotry can grow to monstrous dimensions if we do not stop it immediately. And that is the lesson of Yad Vashem to the world. That is the lesson that we try to convey to every single world leader, from the president of Congo to the president of Colombia that I hosted recently, to the US ambassador to the UN. When you see evil, when you see anti-Semitism, when you see a regime that calls for the annihilation of the Jewish state, when you see all those things, take it seriously. This is a real threat to humanity. This is a real threat to the Jewish people. So if only for that, and there are many other reasons that in other occasions we will elaborate more deeply, if it is only for that Yad Vashem exists and educates and researches and collects archival data and items, in only for that, Dayan. And if we can save the life of one person, of one Jew that otherwise would be a victim of anti-Semitism, racism, bigotry, and xenophobia, Dayan. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom.